You ever feel like you're watching life from behind glass? Everyone's laughing, connecting, and you're just there, present, but not part of it. Not because you're mean, not because you're broken, but because somewhere along the way something closed off. And now, it's just quiet. Too quiet. This isn't a self-help speech. This is a mirror. We're going deep into what actually happens. Mentally, emotionally, psychologically, when connection disappears, and why, sometimes, we disappear with it. You might want connection, but when the moment comes, something freezes. You overthink your text, read into the silence, assume they're annoyed. That's social anxiety. In fact, studies like Leary's 1983 on social anxiety show that rejection sensitivity, the fear of not being liked, leads to avoidance behavior, which only fuels loneliness. What's wild is that research by Boothby et al. 2018 shows people consistently underestimate how much others enjoy their company. It's called the liking gap. You think you're boring, awkward, but they likely think you're kind, interesting, even funny. So the issue isn't you being unlikable, it's that your brain is lying to you. Maybe you grew up being praised for being mature and self-reliant. You learned that being vulnerable made you weak, or that needing others was dangerous. Psychologist John Bowlby's attachment theory suggests early emotional environments shape our adult relationships. People with avoidant attachment often suppress their need for closeness to protect themselves. So even though you crave connection, you act like you don't. You brush people off. You say you're too busy. But underneath that is fear. Fear of dependence, of disappointment, of being left again. Sometimes you're alone not because you're flawed, but because life shifted. Graduated, moved, started working remotely. Suddenly you're not in a setting that naturally builds friendships anymore. A 2020 YouGov survey found that 22% of millennials report having no close friends, not because of personality, but due to lifestyle, burnout, and geography. And yeah, making friends as an adult is harder. You have to be proactive, intentional, like asking someone to hang out without sounding like you're proposing marriage. But connection is still possible. It just takes more effort than it used to. Here's a tough one. Maybe people don't reach out to you. Not because they don't like you, but because you come off closed off. Not because you're mean, because you're nervous, or tired, or caught up in your own thoughts. Albert Mehrabian's communication studies show that 93% of communication is nonverbal. Your posture, expression, tone, they send signals. If you rarely smile, avoid eye contact, or seem emotionally unavailable, people may assume you don't want to connect, even if the opposite is true. Try softening your expression. Ask one question. Give one compliment. You don't need to be the life of the party. You just need to show people the door is open. Some people stopped trusting a long time ago. Maybe you got ghosted, bullied, abandoned. Maybe your closest friend once turned on you. And now your body sees closeness as a threat, not a gift. Trauma research, like that of Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, shows how people with complex trauma often learn to emotionally detach. It's self-protection, but it also blocks connection. And the tragedy? You might think you're just being strong or low maintenance, but you've actually built walls so high, no one can reach you. Friendships take maintenance, and most of us, we just stopped practicing. A study in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships found it takes 40 to 60 hours to form a casual friendship, and over 200 hours to become close friends. Let that sink in. If you're not texting, not inviting, not showing up, it's not just loneliness, it's lack of effort. Yes, life gets busy, but connection is a muscle. If you don't use it, it atrophies. So, if you're still here, maybe this hit closer than you expected. And I want to say something, not as a narrator, but as someone who's been there. Being without friends doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you're hard to love or that you're destined to stay alone. It often just means life happened. Trauma happened. Fear happened, and somewhere along the line, you learned to protect yourself by pulling back. But the version of you that survived all that, the one watching this now, deserves something more. Deserves laughter that isn't just from your phone. Deserves comfort that comes from being seen. Deserves connection that feels real, not rehearsed. The fix isn't instant, but it's possible, and it starts small. Not with pretending to be someone else or trying to fit in again, but with one quiet decision. To try. To try texting first. To try being open again. To try showing up even if your voice shakes. Because no one builds a deep connection overnight. But every friendship starts with a moment. And this might be yours. Thanks for sitting in this with me. You're not weird. You're not lost. You're just human. And you're never as alone as you think.